a lot of people have asked some questions about, how to set up Facebook ads and what's the benefit of Facebook ads, and just a couple of things that I didn't know were, or that I wanted to make sure were a little bit more accessible to people. So, like I said, I've had experience running Facebook ads. I've been working on the agency side, the publisher side, the brand side, the independent side, every side, and now I'm here to talk to you guys. So, what I wanted to do first is to give Mr. Charles J a second to actually talk about his business and what he has done with Facebook ads and how they've been helpful to some of the work he's done. So, Charles J, feel free to go ahead and jump in. You're still on mute.
Oh, talking to myself. Can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right. So just to give you guys a break, kind of a background on me, I'm Charles J. I'm the designer of the clothing brand Urbane. We offer everything from apparel to accessories like watches, Cuban links, chains, and we're starting to get into some footwear design and things like that. I've been a designer for about 5 years. I'm from South Jersey. The brand has been featured in Huffington Post, 6ABC. We were in a Michael Kors ad. Three UK fashion magazines. So we've been getting a little bit of traction as far as publicity wise over the past couple of years. Just to really dive in as far as the Facebook ads aspect, I wasn't crazy over on Facebook ads prior to COVID, but with COVID hitting, we had to try to find some alternatives as far as to expand our reach. So I ended up taking my own Facebook marketing class. It was a digital one. I did it online, and kind of just gave me like the gist of what Facebook ads do. So the main goal for me was to try and just expand my reach. So we dove in and ran a traffic ad based on all of the information that we acquired from all of our social media channels and our website. So Christine will dive more into like what a Facebook pixel is, but I'll just touch on it really, really quick. A Facebook pixel is basically like a tracker. So if you go to Amazon's website and then you switch over and go to Facebook, that same item that you were looking at on Amazon pops up on your social media for an ad. So we took that approach because we wanted to really be able to convert the people that were coming to the site. And most consumers need to see something 3 times before they actually make a purchase. So we dove in and actually installed our Facebook pixel to the website. We did that about last year. So we had all of the aggregate data over the last year from everyone who has visited our website or who has interacted with our social media. So what we were able to do is we were able to run, there's a plethora of different types of ads that you can run, but we ran a conversion ad. And what the conversion ad did, it was like a retarget. So what it did was anybody who visited our social media or our website, Facebook ads will start to pop up on anything from their Instagram stories to their Instagram feeds to their Facebook stories. And we've seen a lot of traction over the past couple of months just from running those ads. Our conversion rate actually increased about 22%. So just alone with just running that conversion ad and allowing people to continuously see our product and continuously be in their faces, our sales went up significantly, especially with COVID hitting. Before COVID, we were doing about 2,000, 3,000 a month. Now we're pushing anywhere between 8 to 10,000 a month in sales. So that increase alone was large part due to Facebook ads. It was one ad that I was running, a conversion ad. I was spending about $10 a day. We did it for about 3 weeks, so 21 days. So we spent $210 and the return was about 5K. So with utilizing the Facebook pixel, it really allows you to narrow down the audience who is already interested in your product. But also what you're able to do is we were able to make a lookalike audience for that Facebook pixel. So the people who were visiting our site, we basically built a profile for them. And then we built a similar profile for someone who is exactly like the person who visited our website, but they may not have visited yet. In conjunction with running a conversion ad or the retarget, we did a traffic ad. So we were pushing more people to our website with a traffic ad, and we were running both of them at $10 a day. With the traffic ad, we were hitting about 1,500 people. So we were getting about 1,500 impressions as far as the us reaching those people, and then we were getting anywhere between 100 to 125 clicks every single day to the website. So in conjunction with the traffic ad and then our conversion ad or retarget, our ads were performing really, really well, and we were only spending $10 a day. Um, Prior to coming into working with Facebook ads, I was just kind of hesitant because I worked with some people who promised to drive results but didn't have a proof of concept. So I dove into the back end of what Facebook ads are, exactly how to build the audiences, and then with some help from Christine, I was able to really figure out who my target audience is, what their interests are. And by putting the money in the right places, we were able to generate the traffic, but not only just traffic, but traffic that was going to actually convert. So that's kind of like the background of how I got started with my Facebook ads. But they were vital to the growth of our business now. And it's now to the point where instead of running $10 a day, I can run $50 to $100 a day. And with maintaining the conversion rate that we have, our business is definitely scalable, long past what I thought we would be doing right now. So, Christine.
I'm actually on mute. So I know we haven't actually talked about anything specific, in the platform yet, but based on anything he said, I just want to ask if anybody has any questions about his business specifically, as far as, if anybody here is doing something in retail or anything like that they want to ask about while Charles is here. Yes, no, maybe so. If not, I'm going to jump right into the platform, and then we can just put the questions in the chat as we go, and then I'll touch base throughout or towards the end. Sound good? Great. All right. So what I want to do is actually jump into the platform. And I want to do this because obviously we're talking about running Facebook ads, but just because there are so many different pieces in Facebook business settings and then an ads manager. So this is going to be very top level, kind of just running through the different areas of Facebook, what you need to plug in order to get started running the ads. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth because everybody has a different objective for their business. Everybody has a different goal, something else they want to do. Running images versus video, all kinds of different things. So we can talk about those things individually, one-on-one. But what I really want to get into is just the setup of it and make sure everybody has a general understanding of it. So I'm going to share my screen now and make sure that we can all see all this great stuff together. Okay, so the first thing, obviously, is you need to have a Facebook business page. If you have not yet set up a Facebook business page, I implore you to do so. You have to create the business page based from your personal page. Obviously, your personal page information is not going to get pulled into that, but you need to have a personal Facebook account in order to create one. Once you're able to connect that, once you're able to create that business page, it'll give you access into, Facebook business settings. If you're managing multiple accounts, for example, myself, I'm working as part of an agency, so I manage several people's business. So I have, and I'll just show you a quick preview here, several different pages that I manage, all have different ad accounts, different spends, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to first create that Facebook business page in order to manage your accounts. You can talk to people. Once you link your Instagram page, you can manage both pages all in one place, a bunch of different things. So start by creating that Facebook business page. Once you do that, on this page is where you'll be able to look at those Facebook business settings that I'm talking about. So if you are looking to create ads, you want to start here to make sure that you can, sorry, I'm just adding people in as we go. Okay, so on the business settings page, here's where, obviously it's the settings for your business. So I'm going to run through some of these important pieces. I'm not going to go through everything just because we have a time limit, and I want to make sure we can walk through the setup of an ad. So the people are the people who you give access to your page. So these can be admins, these can be people you have, posting pictures for you, just whoever you want to have access to your page and the backend information. You can control the different things that they have access to. For example, if you don't want them to see financials or anything like that, you have the access to adjust that. Partners would be your agency, for example. So if you have an agency and you want to give them access to certain things on the page, but you don't want to give them complete control, such as your passwords, you can assign a partner. So it's somebody who has, similar controls, but not full access. On pages, this is where you'll add obviously your Facebook business page. So if you're managing multiple pages, you'll add all of the pages here that you need access to, and you'll have control over the different things that come with managing those Facebook pages. Ad accounts is very important because this is how you run your Facebook ads. So you'll set up your ad account, and of course you'll put in under payments here, you'll put in your payment settings. So whether that's a credit card or some or other form of payment, you'll set that up on this side so that when you do go into Ads Manager, you just choose the ad account that you want to run from, and that's where the money will come out of. The great thing about ad accounts is if you have a business and you want to set up, and for example, if you're managing multiple pages, I, as an agency account, can have several different ad accounts, one that I assign to each business that I manage. So I have one for a clothing business that I run. I have one for, a sports business that I work on. And for me, I just build them at the end of the month, what's in each of those different ad accounts. I'm going to skip to Instagram accounts, because here is where you'll make sure that your Instagram page is connected. So when you're running ads, it gives you the option to choose what page you want to run on. And that's where you'll choose your business page and the Instagram page that you want to run these accounts across. That's assuming you want to run ads across both Instagram and Facebook. Apps, actually, I'm going to jump back to apps. So apps is additional Facebook apps if you want to plug into more places. Facebook has the world of apps such as WhatsApp, Messenger, et cetera, et cetera. You can add some different Facebook apps that have connections and plugins on here. But I feel like that's a second level, like a 102 level. So we're going to stick with 101 today. Data sources is where you'll get your data from, how you want to determine who your audience is. So for example, Charles talked a little bit about the pixels, and what the pixel will do is pull in that data from the audience that comes from your website or wherever you have this pixel placed. And that pixel will give you information such as, how long they stay on the page, what pages they're looking at, whether they make it to the checkout page, if, for example, you have a retail site or an e-commerce site, what time of day they're visiting, different things. So it's very important in the beginning to make sure you start out by putting a Facebook pixel, because you want to start capturing information about your audience at the very onset of any piece of business that you're doing. So if you haven't added a Facebook pixel yet, I'll say start there now and make sure that that's added, because obviously you want to make sure to get as much information about who's visiting your site as possible. And again, I said I'm going to stay top level and talk about some of the more important pieces, because I do want to get into Ads Manager. So I'm going to jump down to payments, because you have to pay for your ads. So you're going to add a payment method in here. It does give you a couple different options of how you want to pay. So you can put in your credit card, and once you're running ads, it'll automatically choose that. Again, you can put different ad accounts if you have different pieces of business, but make sure you have your card set up in there, because Facebook will continue to bill you and send you messages and reminders, and then they'll stop your ads if you have not been able to fulfill your payments. So make sure that those are up to date and your cards are not expired. Okay. Any general questions on those? Again, we're staying top level because we want to be able to get through Ads Manager. So I'm going to check the chat. Any additional questions that we have on Business Manager? No, chat is clear. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna jump into Facebook Ads Manager now, because I do wanna leave some time at the end for questions and make sure that we can all ask what we need to ask. So jumping over to Facebook Ads Manager. Now, for me, I don't think this setup looks that scary. It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of good pieces in here, and there's definitely some stuff that I'm going to talk about up front. So the three main areas of Facebook Ads Manager are the campaigns, the ad sets, and the ads. And with the campaigns, I'm going to try to think of an analogy to make it make sense. So if we think about, let's say, water, for example, and I have a bottle of water next to me, so I'm thinking of, no, let's call it drinks. So we're thinking about different drinks you want to serve ads for. Your campaign level would be those drinks. The next level down will break that into water, soda, juice, etc. That will be your ad sets group. So it's the next level down from your drinks level. Then once you get into ads, you can break that down even further, because this is more specific. This is where your creative and your copy match up to what you're trying to sell. So for example, we talked about drinks, then we went to water. Now we're on ads. So I can create an ad specifically for Dasani, Poland Spring, I'm trying to think of water brands, but I think you guys get the point, where we're looking at basically an umbrella of ad types, of different ads, and we want to make sure that everything we're creating on the ad level filters back up to what's on the campaign. So that way, when you're looking at all of your campaigns at the end, it all makes sense. So if you want to look at all the all the drink ads that you ran, it'll all be in one category, and you can understand how your drinks are performing. So for example, if I was in retail, I'll break it out that way. I can have an ad, a campaign that's basically my summer campaign. Within that campaign, I can break it out into tops, bottoms, skirts, etc. So those are my different ad sets. Within those ad sets, for example, I'll go with tops. I can do short sleeve, long sleeve, etc. So everything that you're thinking about has to ladder up to what that campaign level is. And it'll make sense in the end when you're looking at your reporting to understand how everything within that category is performing. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I can think of another analogy. I'm coming up with those on the spot. Hopefully they were good enough. Yes, no, any questions? I'm looking at the chat. Anybody have any questions on that? Great. Okay. So what I want to do next is actually create an ad and go through the different pieces of an ad setup. So now I'm going to hit create here. I'm actually going to start over because I was playing with this a little bit earlier. So on this page, there's a lot of information to put into your ad. The great part about it is there is a very step-by-step way to look at this, and it's very functional because it shows you, basically asks you everything that it needs to know about the type of ad you want to run. So on this page, the first thing that you want to understand is what your objective is. Under awareness, it can be brand awareness or reach. And for that category, we're just looking to get your ad out to as many people as possible. Basically spraying and praying, spraying out impressions, getting people to see your content, to see your video, to see your images, whatever it is that you're putting out there. That's where your awareness factor comes in. So if you're looking for the numbers, that would be the better category for you. Under consideration, this is where you want people to actually think about what your ad is saying and possibly make a decision on something. So for example, the traffic choice would drive people to a website or to your page. Engagement would be if you want people to actually click on your ad or to watch a video or something like that. You want them to take some sort of an action. So that's where your consideration set comes in. Download an app, watch a video. Lead generation is where you're actually trying to get people to, get some email addresses. So you're trying to generate leads. So in that one, that's a separate setup, but it requires you to create a survey form in which you're asking questions and people will fill it out. And you can connect that on the back end to MailChimp or any other, CRM database that collects all your email information. And messages, you want people to actually send a message. The conversion section is for people who are, looking for people to actually make a purchase or go into a store. So if you have a product that you're selling online, conversions might be a good one for you because you want Facebook to actually look at the people who are making purchases or actually getting all the way through to a checkout on your page. So this is great for retail. Catalog sales are also similar in that category in the sense that if you have a product catalog, it'll actually, pull your catalog into Facebook and people can actually see the different items in your catalog. Also good on e-commerce. For example, if you have a Shopify, you can pull in your Shopify catalog and it will drive, Facebook will automatically update and the word I'm looking for, optimize towards the people who are taking the action based on what you've defined as your marketing objective. And of course, store traffic. If anybody here has a physical location and you want people to go in, you can upload your locations by address and I believe by coordinates so that people can click on get directions. And that indicates to Facebook that people are actually taking that extra step to go into your physical location. And it'll try to find more people and optimize towards people with behavior similar to that person to get more people to come into your store. That was a very confusing statement, so I'm going to say it one more time. With the store traffic, objective, Facebook is going to look at the behaviors of the people that have clicked get directions, for example, and find more people that look like them in order to drive more people into the store. I hope that one made sense. I think I pretty much said the exact same thing, but you get it. So now we're going to move on to the next piece. Well, actually, I have to choose an objective. So let's go with, I'm going to go with conversions. And then we're going to move on from here. We'll just call this test ad and keep going. Okay, so now we're in the ad set portion. So again, our campaign was a top level. I didn't name it. I named it conversions test. Each of these names, we talked about how they ladder up in the end. but each of these names should make sense to you and how they represent your business. Again, following that laddering trajectory so we know what you want to look at the end and how you want to group your items. So now I chose conversion. So my goal is to get people to the website to make a purchase, for example. So what I'm doing here is now defining each of those different things. I don't have a Facebook setup, pixel setup on this account because this is just a test ad account, but hopefully you guys will have a Facebook pixel setup. And once you have that, the pixel will be tracking information. So with conversions, it's going to look at who comes to the website. When they get to the website, that pixel is going to pick that person up, look at their behavior, what time they came, how long they spent, et cetera, and feed that information back to Facebook so it can continue to optimize your campaigns and find more people that will likely have a conversion, that will likely check out, that will likely make a purchase, whatever the situation is. With this cost control, you can control how much you want to spend per conversion. So for example, if you want to only spend $1 per person, your cost per acquisition, if you only want to spend $5 per person to get to convert, you can set that here. You do have options to choose your windows. Now this relates more to attribution. So this is when Facebook will count a click or a view. So after it says 7 days click here. So after 8 days, Facebook won't necessarily count that click counting towards this Facebook ad. So that's a whole different section, which we can talk about another time. But what you get charged for under this objective is impressions. So every time somebody sees an ad, it'll go based on the CPM, which is a cost per 1,000 impressions. So you get charged for the amount of people that are seeing the ad, not based on the amount of people that actually checked out. And this is the fun part. So now we're going to go down to the audience section. And I say this is the fun part because Charles talked a little bit about the target audience, knowing your customer, defining exactly who you want to hit, defining, where you want to reach them, how you want them to see your ad, all of that good stuff. And this is where you get to do that. So my made up company, let's say I have a clothing brand that's based in New York and it's targeted towards millennials who are into shows like Insecure and who shop at Fashion Nova and who eat Burger King. Random person, but we're going to make her up. So what I want to do when I'm creating my audience is I'm going to look at the locations. It's in New York, but I want to go bigger. So I'm going to keep it as United States. When I talk about my age, I said millennials. I'll just do that to like 18 to 35. I'm not even sure what the millennial cutoff is anymore, but we'll change that to 18 to 35. All genders, I say my clothes are targeted towards women, so I'll adjust that. And then I definitely want to, hold on one second. This is not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. Okay. No. That's not what I want. But I'm just going to move on from that. So we'll set that and I'm going to move on from there and then come back to it. Your budget, how much you want to spend. So here you get to determine if you have a lifetime budget or a daily budget. With your lifetime budget, that goes across the course of your campaign. So if you want to run a campaign from September 1st to September 30th and you only have $500 to spend, you'll set a lifetime budget to run during that period for that set amount. If you're not exactly sure how long you want to run your campaign, but you know that you can afford to spend $20 per day, for example, that's where you'll set it on a daily budget level. Because at this point, you can with either option, you can turn your ad on and off at any point. But with the daily budget, if it hits a certain point and you realize that this is how much it's good for you, you can turn it off. With the lifetime budget, Facebook will kind of choose how much it spends throughout the course of the campaign per day. So it's going to start out by dividing that $500 up evenly among the 30 days of September. If it sees more activity on a certain day, for example, on a Friday or a Sunday, Facebook might kind of raise and spend a little bit more than the average just to try to capture more customers. So it's always going to optimize towards the better performing situation. If it sees more people, it's going to spend a little bit more. If it's not seeing as much activity, it'll spend less. So it's going to go up and down based on the day. With the daily budget, you set the control over that and you decide how much it is that you want to spend. So for now, I'm just going to change my lifetime budget to, I'll keep it at $350. Yes, my date is in the past. That's fine. We'll just change it to tomorrow. Okay. The other thing that you can do is decide when you want to run the ads. So Facebook allows you to choose a schedule. If you decide that, or you see that ads are not performing well for you on Sundays from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m., 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., you can not choose to run ads during that time. So what you'll do is select the times that you've seen are optimal for when your customers are online, for when you see activity, and Facebook will stay confined to those time periods. Now, it's not exactly to the minute. So for example, if you choose to stop an ad at 7 o'clock, it might run until 7:05, 7:15, 7:30, but it's not going to go too far past that. It'll just go a couple minutes over. And that's because obviously the system is as best as it can be in real time. So it's just trying to keep up. So it'll try to catch it once it hits that spend, or if you set a daily limit, or once it hits that time, it'll cut it off. So don't be too alarmed if it goes too far off. All right. Now we're going to move on to the next section, which is the ads. Now, I'm not changing any names because, again, this is a test ad. But in the beginning, when we were in the business settings area, we talked about putting in your Facebook business page and then your Instagram page. Here, because I have multiple pages that I manage, there's a couple that'll fall under here. But what you'll do is choose the page for you that works for your business. And then, of course, you'll choose the Instagram account that you want to run the ads for. So you'll set that right up front, and make sure if you don't have the Instagram page connected, or if you don't have the Facebook page connected, you just make sure you do that and then come back here and set that up. Now the format, you have a couple different options to play with here. With the carousel, this is an ad format which allows you to put multiple images, and a user can swipe and scroll through the carousel. This is good because it allows you to show multiple products, multiple images all at once. You can have user interaction. You can use different ad copy on each card in the carousel. You can use something that speaks to that specific image, or you can just have catchy language. Some creative tactics that I've seen people do with carousel ads is create one long horizontal image so that when it cuts off halfway in the screen, it kind of entices the user to keep on swiping. So that's one tactic I've seen people use. Another tactic is definitely putting different products from different categories that they sell or have on their own websites, and making sure that people can see the variety in products that they are offering. Another thing that you can do is a single image or video. Now, this is pretty straightforward. So you can choose one image that will run in that ad space, or a video that can run in that ad space. Now, there's different image specs and different video specs for the length of that video. And that is, I can send you the links to those because they're pretty detailed about the size of your video, the length of the video, the characters that you can have in the descriptions, etc. One thing Facebook also has for your ads is a text overlay tool. I know sometimes we like to create images that have words on top of it, but Facebook does have a 20% text overlay rule. And when you're creating your ads, you want to make sure that you test those, because the more the more copy you have on your image, the less likely Facebook is to serve it. So they'll start dinging you or pulling your image down or not showing it as much if you have too much ad copy on. So you want to save that ad copy for the description area where you can put text, headline, descriptions, links, etc. So save as much copy as you can. Unless it's something that's pertinent to the ad itself, I'd say save that for your ad copy. Now, a collection is also a great way to show multiple products, but the good thing about it is a collection can kind of open up into a bigger experience. So for example, if you have a retail experience, an e-commerce experience, you can put a collection of products that all relate to each other, and it can open up into a shopping experience for a person on their mobile phone. So that's a great way if you have an e-commerce business that you're running, or if you want to get multiple things and show people how, different products or pieces can work together, a collection might be great for you. All right, so now we're into the ad setup piece of it. And this is where you will choose all of your media, your copy, your what you're driving to, etc. And it's pretty easy, but I think one of the things that's really important for me as somebody who's been in marketing and has seen a lot of ads, not only created from the work side, but also now I can't help but scrutinize a lot of the ads I see, is the ad copy doesn't necessarily always match. The image doesn't always match what the end goal is. The website doesn't always link to the correct place. So one thing that I will say is, for example, I'll take the ad of the water that we were talking about. If you want people to purchase water, your particular brand of water, let's go with Poland Spring, for example, you want to make sure that your primary text copy, which we'll just put in something here, just so that we can kind of see how this plays out. Okay. Let's see. We'll do a headline of drink water now. And of course, these are not anything that needs to stick. So I'm going to add media. Don't be surprised if the media doesn't match. I'm just putting what is in here, but I want you guys to see what a full ad would look like. So here is a random image, doesn't have anything to do with water at all, but we'll pretend it does. You'll see that the primary text that I put up here is definitely, it's short and sweet. And one thing about Facebook is I don't know how often you guys actually read the text that's on, you know, Facebook or Instagram posts or on any ads, but it's quick, it's to the point. It actually has words such as try, or, you know, if you're selling something, buy. It asks a question, so it gets people engaged. All of these different factors are things that you want to consider when you're writing ad copy. Don't make it too long. Make it something that's engaging, that can catch somebody's eye, and actually have an action word. So you'll notice on the bottom here, there's a learn more button. That button will take a user somewhere else. But putting an action verb in your ad copy actually helps a user to think about taking the action after seeing the ad. Now, your ad does take up a lot of space. So that's obviously going to be the main focus of what you want to promote to people. You want that to be a very engaging image. Some things that I'm not always so excited to see is an ad that is very flat. It's very boring. It's not exciting. It doesn't relate to the copy or the brand itself. So content, they say content is king and engagement is queen. And I say content definitely is the king because it's what people see the most. It takes up the most real estate in this ad. People are going to see it first. They're going to look at, you know, the colors of it. If people we have so many different forms of content. We have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Pinterest, TikTok, LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. Social networks are popping up everywhere. So we want to make sure that our ad content stands out. So your ad copy has to be great. Your image has to be beautiful, bold, colorful, etc. Well, not colorful, depending on your brand, but it has to be eye-catching. It has to be something that's going to cause somebody to stop as their thumbs are scrolling through a million pieces of content every day. And with content continuously growing and growing, it becomes harder and harder to do that. So it definitely makes sense to get as creative as you can while still staying on brand. Now, the other sections that are on here are, you know, your website URL. That's pretty self-explanatory. You want to add that in for driving users back to your website, somewhere where they can get more information, somewhere they can learn more about your brand. You want to make sure to put your website in there. The display link is not necessary, but you can add something if you need additional space to put some word in. That's not a link. And that will show up down here. So you don't necessarily need to show the display link because when they click, it's going to go to that website. But for example, if you wanted to put your website and type that in, that's where you would put the display link. Your call to action, you have a couple different options here for what you want your users to do. So whether that's download an app, donate money now, book now tickets for something, apply to something, shop now, sign up, subscribe. You have a lot of different options to play with. And the great thing is each of those obviously have their own action words in them. So when people see it, they know that obviously it's an ad, but there's something else that they can do to take this a step further. Now, we did not do lead ads, but one thing that does happen, if you were to create a lead ad, again, which is something that, you know, you put questions in, there's a survey to take, and you can ask people questions, and their information, whether that's phone number, email, etc., is going to come back to you. What will happen in a lead ad is they'll click the button and it'll open the form directly in the Facebook ad. So they never have to leave the platform. Everything is all in one space. It's all right there, and they just get it done. Ad languages. If you speak multiple languages or you want to talk to different people in different areas, you can choose to adjust ad languages. I think Facebook can automatically do this for you, or if you have a particular vernacular that you speak in a different language, this is where you can write it in yourself and choose how to do so. We talked a little bit about the Facebook pixel before. It's not set up here. So if this were set up, what I would do is kind of just click Facebook pixel to use the right pixel that I've already assigned for my brand. And it would start using the pixel to track events for this particular ad. So we'll know, it'll be able to connect my ad to that pixel. So for example, if I run this ad and it's going to my website, Facebook will look at the whole history of the person who clicked on the ad, made it to my website, made a purchase, and be able to determine what percentage of people was coming from my particular ads that I was running. And of course, whether they saw it on mobile, desktop, Facebook, Instagram, etc. I do want to actually scroll back up because I missed that part, but this section here allows you to see what your ad will look like in any different format. So for example, we're looking at it right now on a Facebook feed. What you want to look at is if you're running this across multiple places, you can try it in Facebook stories, and it's generating, and it'll show up here. It does give you the option to use different ads for different images for different ad types. So for example, I can create a 1920 by 1080, which is the longer size, to fit Facebook story. And then I can also create the 1080 by 1080, which is a square image, to fit Instagram stories. So you can have the same ad in multiple sizes to fit the particular area where you want it to run. And you can choose to have it run or not run in certain places. You can turn that off. If you don't want it to run, for example, on Facebook stories. Instagram, same thing. You can switch it to Instagram to show you exactly how it's going to render on Instagram. You'll see the shop now call to action. You'll see the text on the bottom, your brand name, and sponsored. So one thing I also want to differentiate between running an ad through Ads Manager and boosting an Instagram post or boosting a Facebook post is if you are running an ad on Facebook or Instagram and you choose to boost a post, you will see that ad on the page. You'll see the likes, comments, shares, etc. You'll see all that information on the page. If you choose to run an ad on Ads Manager, you'll get all of that content. You'll get all of the comments and shares. However, that ad does not show up on the page. It's what used to be called a dark post. So it's basically running in the background. It's running to your audience that you set. It's everybody's seeing it. Everybody's still interacting with it just the same, but that content does not show up on your page. So I know for a lot of us, we do want to get those vanity numbers. We want to get all the likes. We want to get all the shares, the comments, etc. So in that particular case, you can boost an ad from your Instagram or Facebook and have the results show up in Ads Manager. Again, back to business settings, you want to make sure everything is connected. That way you can pull all the results in afterwards. But boosting an ad on Facebook or Instagram shows the results on the page. Running it through Ads Manager keeps it hidden. So it's running in the background. So it's not, for example, if you don't want people to continuously see that you're running a shopping ad or a retail ad or something like that, you run it in the background. If there's a great post on your page that you want to get more visibility to, I'd say boost that post and you'll keep all the content because it'll tie back to Ads Manager. Just make sure in your business settings on Instagram, you are able to set the ad account to the same ad account you're using to pay for ads on Ads Manager. Okay. We are supposed to end at 7, and I do want to give some time for questions. So I'm not going to hit continue, but we did get through pretty much all of the sections of setting up the ad. Once I click continue, when am I supposed to run this ad tomorrow? Okay, let's just do this. This is not obviously live, but I'm going to hit continue because I wanted to go into the Ads Manager setting that we were looking at before. Well, I guess I actually have to pick a couple things. Okay, I actually don't have anything to promote, so I'm just going to go back to the actual Ads Manager and we can just go back to that setting. So once you set your ad up and all of that stuff, you choose all your parameters, everything is set, it'll take you back to this page. And what you'll see is that campaign name that we just set will be in here. And then it'll be followed by your ad set and your ads. And then I'm going to quickly, I'm going to leave 5 minutes at the end for any questions, but I'm just going to quickly talk about these top level categories. So when your ad is set, you'll see that ad name under here, like I mentioned. The delivery column will let you know if your ad is, pending, if it's in a draft mode, or if it's actually running. Your bid strategy is going to show you, let's see, the way you're bidding. So if you're looking for, impressions, et cetera, your bid strategy is going to go in that column. Budget, how much budget you set for it. Results will show you if you're looking for leads, it's going to show you how many leads you got. reach versus impressions. Now, these two are very similar, but also very different. So reach is basically the potential of people that your Facebook ads could reach. It shows you, for example, my ad could reach 100,000 people. Impressions are how many times your ad was viewed on screen. So it could reach 100,000 people, but only 4 people saw it, but each of those 4 people saw it 5 times. So I'll see 20 impressions because it doesn't matter how many individual people saw it, it's just how many times it showed up on screen. Cost per result is important because this shows you how much you're paying for each result that you got. So if I were getting leads and I was trying to get people to sign up for something and I wanted their email address and I ran an ad for $20, I got 4 leads, my cost per lead would be $5. Your amount spent will be your total amount that you spent, and the end date is when the campaign ends. Now, this also, I can save this for another day, but your breakdown column, when you're able to click into it, like will show you different ways that you can break down these columns. So you can add more things that if you want to see those up front. For example, if you want to see, the age of people that are clicking on your ad, the gender, the country where they're coming from, if you're looking at it on desktop versus mobile, et cetera, all the different things here, you can choose to add these things to your column and it will, update the column here for you. So whatever makes the most sense for you and your business, whatever results you need to see, this is where you choose to make those updates and show that here. I do want to give anybody time for questions. So let me stop talking and let me have anybody ask question. Feel free to take yourself off mute if you need to, but happy to answer any questions about that ads manager setup. I know it was kind of a quick run through. Just want to make sure we got to the end. Anybody? Nobody has any questions? Interesting. Okay. Well, okay. What's a good amount to run daily for your ads? So I think you definitely want to set a budget in the beginning so you know what you're comfortable running with. For example, if you want to set a budget upfront to just kind of see how well it's going to perform, a test budget, you can run. I don't recommend $5. I don't recommend the smallest amounts per day because Facebook does take time to learn. So it takes about a week or so for the system to optimize to learn who your customers really are, who's really following your ads, instead of just spraying it out there. It'll actually start to understand the type of people that are clicking on your ad and optimize over time. So once it's able to do that, it'll give you a better estimate of how much is worth spending on an ad, because now you'll be able to see the real universe of people that are actually looking at your ad set. If you have a test budget in the beginning, you can kind of start running that ad and see how it's performing, see how much it's generating a day. If you have the ability to run ads for a week, my best bet would be to say to run it for a full week so you can see what happens on a Sunday versus a Tuesday, on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. versus a Friday at 8 a.m. You're able to see the different ebbs and flows of the different ads. And then that will kind of lead me right into Ayana's question, but you'll be able to see the differences between when your ad runs and where you should focus your budget. So that will tell you, I see more customers. I know a lot of people use Instagram Insights. For me personally, I use several different tools, from Sprouts Social to Hootsuite to Later to everything. I have a million different tools, and each of them give me a little bit more in-depth insight than just Instagram alone, because that just tells you, where people are coming from, your age group, and it's not enough, especially if you're running a business. So I think investing in one of these tools to tell you a little bit more, because Facebook also doesn't give you the best insights, but it'll tell you a little bit more about the details of your customer, a little bit more about just things that you need to know in order to push your business forward. So spend at least that first week to get some learnings from it, and then take out those, specific insights that are driving your business and use those to build a campaign. Determine what your daily budget is. If you have a set return, for example, if you know that you want to make $600, random number, decide how much you're willing to spend, see how much that spend gets you, and then that'll give you a good indicator for how much more you might need to spend to generate that additional funding. Any recommendations on how long an ad should run for? Again, this determines the type of your ad. So for example, if you have a sale going on, you'll run that ad for the duration of your sale up until the end date. Or if you want to promote a date or an event that's coming up, you can run an ad for, you know, the month leading up to it. What I will say is the consideration set for some people is, you know, kind of in the beginning it's heavy. As soon as they see something, it'll die down towards the middle, and right at the end before something is ending, people jump back into it. So the consideration set that I'm talking about is the time it takes somebody to think about something. So Charles mentioned in the beginning, it takes people 3 times. I say it could take about 7 different ads for a person to actually convert. And this is 7 ads, not just across social, but it can be a TV commercial, it can be a billboard. They can see an ad for about 7 different times before they actually decide to convert. So running it for a week may not be enough time because a person might not see that ad every single day, but running it for a month, depending on your objective, might be too long. So look at what your objective is, look at the type of, you know, budget that you have to spend, because if you only have a $10 budget across a week, you're not spending that much per day. And if you look at Facebook, it'll give you a reach, which is the potential of people you can reach. But you all know the Facebook algorithm changes every 5 minutes. And that means that people might not be seeing your ad. Even if it's a promoted post, sometimes Facebook will determine your score. And over time, as you continue to post more, to do more ads, and to run more things through Facebook, your score will improve. But if you're a brand new person on Facebook, it takes time to build up that quality score. And that can definitely impact your performance. A stronger quality score means good quality content, and they'll show you more often. How often should you update your audience for a conversion ad that's performing? If you have a sweet audience, a sweet spot audience, I'll say hold on to it. Like, definitely hold on to it. What you can do, and you talked about this a little bit, Charles, is about the lookalike audiences. And again, this is a very 101. I really just wanted to get through Ads Manager, so we can definitely talk more about each of the different pieces. But building lookalike audiences is great, so you can understand how to extend an audience. So if you have, and I believe Facebook might have, you know, adjusted the rules on this, but for example, if you take your Facebook pixel, that's telling you everybody that the Facebook pixel has picked up on. If you want to extend that to 1%, 2%, 20%, Facebook will find people that are within 20% similarity to the people who have hit your pixel. So if you have an opportunity to extend your reach by finding similar people, I'll definitely say you can update that audience, because you know that you want to reach more. If you're selling a product, you can't expect your customer to buy the same product every single day, unless it's something like, I don't know what people use every single day that you need to purchase. But for example, if you sell clothes, that same t-shirt, that person is not going to buy that t-shirt every single day. If you sell soap, you know, it takes me a while to get through soap. I'm not going to buy the soap every single day. So you should consider how often people are making those purchases. Or if you have a collection set that people can buy complementary pieces, if you know those things will work for that audience, then definitely keep that audience. But you can run a test against a new audience to see how well that new audience will perform. Testing is something else that we can talk about in another workshop, but you can run 2 different ads together and see which one is outperforming. Facebook has things called A/B testing, and you can run something where you just switch out the image or you just switch the copy, keeping all other variables the same, and it'll tell you which is performing better. Audience is something that you can also test. So you can run the exact same ad, if it's performing, against 2 different audiences and see which one performs better. Renita asks, what is the benefit of running an ad on other platforms through Facebook Business as opposed to actually on that platform? So Facebook Business Ads Manager gives you a little bit more control. So for example, I'm gonna guess, and you can tell me yes or no if you're talking about like running an ad directly on Facebook, boosting a post on Facebook or Instagram. If that's what you're talking about, then on Instagram, running that ad or boosting that post will keep that ad on your page. So if it's something that you want people to kind of see the numbers behind, you want people to see the shares, the likes, the comments, etc., you can definitely boost that ad on the page. Because you've connected everything through Facebook Business settings, that reporting will come back into Ads Manager. The difference with Ads Manager is you have a little bit more control. You can build out audiences and everything on Instagram itself in the platform when you boost the post. But in Ads Manager, you have a little bit more control, because now you can kind of extend your reach a little bit. You can run it across Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, Facebook Marketplace. You can run it across the whole series of Facebook ads, and Facebook is going to optimize towards where it's getting better performance. So if it's seeing that more people are on your Instagram versus your Facebook, more people are on Messenger versus WhatsApp, it's going to optimize towards a better platform, and you'll get an overall better bang for your buck, because you might think that your ad is on doing well on Instagram, but you wouldn't have known how well it would have done on the other platforms. Again, it's beneficial to keep it on the platform if you want to keep those vanity numbers and keep that post on your page, because ads that run through Ads Manager are basically dark posts. They run in the background. People can still see them, interact with them. It'll still get the numbers, the spend, the clicks, everything, but it will not live on the page itself unless you create 2 dual ads. But like I said, those numbers won't appear on the ad that's on your page. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I do know that there are so many more pieces to this. There's a lot more that there is to be covered, from running these ads and setting these things up. There are, different targeting areas. There are different pieces of business that we want to talk to. So if you do have any questions, I want to look at this one more time. If you do have any additional questions, feel free to email me, send me a text. If we have anything else that you want to know, I'm definitely here to talk through it. There, like I said, there's a lot of pieces in here that we want to get to, and I'm looking for one thing because I did not see it before. This is what, I don't know how I was not seeing this, but I did kind of want to talk to this piece before. I think I was completely like blind for a half a second. But when I talked about being able to completely define your audience and choose the people who you want to target, this is where you would put that in. So I talked about my Fashion Nova Burger King millennial girl. If I want to talk about Burger King, for example, let's see if it comes up. So I can look at Burger King specifically, and people who are interested in Burger King, I can choose to add them, and that will help define my audience. If I'm talking about Fashion Nova, I can add that in here as an interest, or I guess they only have it as employer. Well, that's something else. Facebook doesn't always have all the categories that you might think of, but I'll add Fashion Nova as an employer, so people who work at Fashion Nova. But this area is where I'll add in all the information about the type of person that I want to talk to, the type of person that I want to reach, who I want to show my ads to. So apologies for missing this before. I feel like I don't even know. I was looking directly at it and didn't see it, but it's here. So here's where you add all of this information. On the right side, you'll notice that these numbers, as far as your reach and conversions, change. Your reach, again, is the potential number of people this ad can reach, and conversions is how many conversions you're expected to get. So how many people would we expect to actually click through, land on the page, and convert, make a purchase, or whatever that is. So this is where you'll define all of that. Again, thank you guys. I do want to continue this conversation. I feel like I can talk about this all day, actually run ads. Do want to show live ads and how things are performing, actually looking through results. But again, if you have any questions, please, please, please send me a text or email. Love to do one-on-ones. This was fun. Thank you guys for being my first group of, running through Facebook Ads Manager. Also would appreciate any feedback. I'm pretty sure everybody in here has some kind of direct contact with me. If not, you have the email address from the invite. Please give me feedback. Let me know what needs to be improved, because I definitely want to do another piece of this, more detail, probably more time too. Thank you guys. Appreciate everybody for coming, and I will talk to you soon. I don't know how to end this.